Hi, Matt Brown again here with the TBI posts. Because this is Brain Injury Awareness Month, I thought I would just do a quick video to describe what somebody looks like who has a TBI. You know, your average TBI person looks a lot like me. Um, Usually thinner though, but longer hair sometimes. But anyway, I wanted to also discuss some common misconceptions that people have about those of us with brain injuries. People sometimes tend to think that if you have a brain injury, you're either a vegetable or you're some sort of psychotic lunatic who, can't be trusted outside of a rubber room. That's not the case at all. We're just like everybody else, except we have a shorter battery life than you do. Most people, they wake up in the morning and their battery is full. It lasts them all day, and they get tired at night and they go to bed and they recharge. With brain injured people, our battery is about half charged when we get up, and by noon we're already down to a quarter, and by the time we get home at the end of the day we're completely drained. It's gone. And that's what makes it difficult for some of us, for those of us that aren't on disability, to try to hold a job. It's next to impossible because the cognitive uh, abilities that you need to function, and just the brain has to do so much just to do normal stuff. Just every day, get up, eat, brush your teeth, put your clothes on. I mean, that all takes brain energy that nobody thinks about. Everybody just takes it for granted that's, you just do that. For a lot of us, it's a process, it's a routine, and we have to. It uses brain energy to do that. Did I take my meds? Did I remember to make breakfast? Did I remember to um, turn the lights off, turn the TV off, whatever the case may be, turn the gas off from the oven? I've left that on many times. So that uses up a lot of our brain battery. And so what happens is we get to a point where we're like, we're drained and we hit that wall, and then our physical symptoms start to really show up. We start to stutter or stumble with our words. We get tremors. Our balance is off. We look like we're drunk. Um, Eyelids droop, and we get easily agitated and irritated, and um, most of us don't have the filters to deal with all of the incoming sensors. Like foreground noise, background noise sounds the same to us, so we can't do certain things like go to concerts and go to movie theaters and go to busy restaurants where there's a lot of talking and a lot of noise from multiple directions. We can't drive at night because there's lights coming from multiple directions, behind you, in front of you, above you. It's too much for our brain to process. And that's what fatigues us, is the brain trying to do just normal things is fatiguing enough. And then if you add to that, ringing phones and people talking and asking you to go get something and asking you to work on a project and asking you, you know when are you going to be done with this, and how far have you gotten with this, and have you talked to so and so about this? All of that stuff is extra that our brains just can't handle. We just can't. It's just overload for us, and then we just shut down. Now, I like, for me, I have impulse issues, and I know I do. So I will tell you what I'm thinking, and I will say things that are inappropriate at inappropriate times, and I might say things you don't want to hear. But tough. That's just the way. I never used to be like that. I was always very calculated in my thought process, and I was always very conscious of what I said and what words I used, and tried to make sure that I was being, as fair and as honest as possible without saying anything hurtful or demeaning. Um, but now I just say whatever pops into my little pea brain. So, if you're offended by something that I've said, sorry. It's going to happen again, though. So just expect it. That's just how my brain works. If it pops into my head, it's coming out of my mouth, and there's no stopping it. But some of the misconceptions I wanted to discuss was, I notice a lot of people seem to think that if you have a brain injury, you are either supposed to be in a coma or a vegetative state or in a rubber room with a helmet. And although I probably should be in a rubber room with a helmet now that I think about it, but they think that we're deranged or we're stupid or we're dangerous, and that's not the case. I mean, a lot of times it's dangerous for us to live on our own because of things we might forget to do, but we're not out beating people up, and we're not out pillaging and raping and burning down villages. It's not, we're not Frankensteins. We're regular people just like you. It's just our brains can't function at the level that they used to, and we can't handle the overload. We can't handle the stimulation that most people take for granted. So when you're starting out with a fresh battery and you're able to do things without even thinking, and you can focus your brain power on a task like work, that's great. That's the way that your brain is supposed to work. For us, it's not like that. We're using our brain energy just to do the normal daily things that you don't think about. So when it comes to trying to do tasks, work related stuff, we're already fried. We're already burned out. We just can't comprehend. We lose focus. We have a hard time processing. And it's hard to tell an employer, well, I can work 1 to 2 hours every other day. That's not going to fly. Who's going to hire somebody to do that? But and that's providing that we don't overwork ourselves, in one day, and we have to take 2 days off to recover, or the weather changes and the barometric pressure changes, and then we've got to take an extra day off. Although we don't have any control over that stuff. So how do you? I mean, and it's not fair to the employer either. It's not fair for a company to say, okay, well, we'll pay you, what you used to make, but you only have to work 4 hours a week, and if you make mistakes, that's okay. Don't worry about it. No, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna fly. Nobody's gonna do that. Nobody's gonna. I mean, and I wouldn't expect them to. But people, you just have to understand, though, that that's where we're coming from. Yeah, we look normal, we look fine, we look healthy, and we look like we should be able to do this and do that. But that's why they call it the invisible injury, because you can't see what's going on inside the brain. And a lot of times even the scans can't see what's going on inside the brain. It's at a microscopic level. The axonal shearing that has occurred, those axons die, and they release toxins, and MRIs don't see that. They don't pick that up. But your brain continues to slowly fade and fail and atrophy, and you can't always just detect that on a basic MRI or CT scan. It takes a long time for you've got to have good doctors around you, and people that understand you, to see when you've had enough. When have you hit your wall? What are your triggers? How do you avoid your triggers? Can you avoid your triggers? There's some triggers you just can't avoid. That's just life. So, I mean, I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail about it. I just wanted to mention that it is Traumatic Brain Awareness Month, and when you see somebody with a brain injury, we're not idiots, we're not stupid, we're not psychopaths, we're not dangerous. Um, we just don't have the same capacity we used to handle the things that we used to handle. Our brain batteries are just not holding a charge like they used to. So just think of it that way. We start out already drained. Our day begins with half a battery if we're lucky. So just look at it that way, and just know that you're still dealing with the same person that you used to know. It's just we're slightly different in the way that we can handle and respond to things. Um, depending on where the brain is injured. Like I don't really have a sense of time, and I don't have a whole lot of emotion. I don't miss people. Like I can see you once a week or once a year, and I don't notice the difference. To me, it's the same. I just saw you. I just saw you last week. No, that was 2 years ago. Oh, I thought it was last week. To me, it was. I mean, it's not that I'm rude or I don't care. I just don't comprehend time like that, and I just certain emotions, my brain just doesn't. It's not wired like that anymore because of the damage that's done to the frontal lobe. Is where those emotions are stored. Your frontal lobe is the last to develop, and usually the first to get injured. Um, so it's not that I'm being mean. It's not that I don't care. I just don't have that ability anymore. That part of my brain just doesn't work. So it's not a case of I don't care if I ever see you again. It's just I don't notice. I don't notice the last time I saw you. To me, is fresh in my mind. Um, and new things that enter in quickly leave, and I don't remember the new stuff. I remember the old stuff a lot better. That's just the way my brain operates. So I'll remember a conversation we had 20 years ago, but forget what I had for breakfast. And I know everybody says, oh, I do that too, but I do it every day. And so you just have to understand that we're still people. We're still the same people in a sense on the outside. And the difference is on the inside, and you can't always see it, but we're still aware. We still know who we are. We still know who you are. We're not psychotic. We're not retarded or in need of constant supervision, or we're dangerous to society. I hear all these wacky things that people think like we're Frankensteins or something, and that's just not the case. Um, yeah, I'm impulsive now. I'll say something that I wouldn't normally say, but I used to keep to myself, and I will get aggressive when I feel there's aggression towards me. Um, but I'm not out looking for trouble. I'm not out kicking down doors and beating people up, and it doesn't work that way. I mean, some people, yeah, there are some people that are just legitimately crazy from brain injuries, but the majority of us aren't. We get fatigued easy. We can't handle a lot of sensory input, and that's really the big difference. We just can't handle as much as we used to. Other than that, we're still the same people. So you don't have to be afraid of us. You don't have to talk loud and slow to us. We're not idiots. Um, we just our brain batteries just don't charge like normal people. So that's all I wanted to say. If you have anything that you want to discuss with me, feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to anybody.